everybody. Welcome to another episode of What Did We Just Watch? We took a little hiatus the past couple of weeks with the holidays and some technical issues, but we are back. This week we're discussing, of course, the mid-season finale of The Walking Dead, Season 4, Episode 8, for if you don't know. And I'm going to go ahead and call this one the Season 3 finale. I mean, what do you think about that, kid?
No joke. I'm just going to call it the first good episode of Walking Dead I've seen in about a year, so I'm happy.
Right, so a lot of stuff happened today. Obviously we had the war, between the president and the governor, take two, I guess you could say. So we're gonna go a little bit back, go ahead and set you up for what happened. So the episode starts with the governor giving this speech to his new group, saying, hey, this is what we need to do. We're not safe here. We need to go to that prison and take it over. While he's talking about all this, they show like a little recap of him actually capturing Herschel and Michonne, which I thought was really interesting. They didn't waste any time with it. It just jumped right into the action. He knocks out Michonne, and he puts a gun to Herschel, and he's like, y'all coming with me. And then they finish up the pep talk. Everybody's like, yeah, let's go take this prison. Like, would you jump behind the governor in this situation if he was just like, yeah, we need to kill these people to take their prison?
I mean, I guess they kind of set it up from the previous week whenever the little girl, I think is a Megan, she almost gets nabbed by a walker, so they kind of give that insecurity to the group, and then obviously Martinez supposedly got killed by walkers as well, so yeah. I guess it's kind of got him on edge a little bit because of that. I think one of the big things with the governor, like, I guess you could say his comic book power is manipulating people. And so once again, and I think it's kind of funny because he's almost manipulating himself too. I think he really believed it for a second. He was doing it for all the right reasons, and it had nothing to do with the past and his insane need for vengeance and etc. Right. So he kind of talks everybody into it, and obviously they have the means with that tank and some guys that are ex-military, things like that. So.
It seems like he convinced everybody except for the one person he wanted to convince, and that was his new girlfriend.
Right.
She was not too happy about this decision, which it's kind of funny that they're in this new group, and this whole group has had probably no problems until he's arrived, and then people just start randomly dying.
Right.
And then they're just like, yeah, we'll follow you into war.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Same thing with the family. He meets them up in their little room. They survived basically the whole entire zombie apocalypse. They've been fine, and then they're with the governor for a week. And look what happens. So.
And they're on the road.
I mean, the one girl, at least the younger sister, got a little lesbian action in before it all ended. But I mean that's the only good that came out of it, I guess.
Well, so did the other sister. I mean, not the lesbian action, but
Yeah.
Anyways, but so all that happened, and now we're ready to go to war. It's go time. So they kind of flash to the other camp, the Rick's camp, and they show everything's normal, everything's good to go. Glenn and his girl are just having a good time. They're like, hey, I'll go get you water. No, don't do it. No, I want to. And you have your little lovey-dovey situation going on, and it's kind of funny. But once that goes on, then they hear a cannon shot go off. And that's when, this episode is so perfect going in. It's just like, we want this. We've heard what y'all are saying. It's kind of slow. We're going to bring you the best, probably mid-season finale I think they've had. This is probably better than any of their season finales they've had, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
Because things actually get answered, and I love that. Finally they're moving on, which they needed to do.
Yeah.
So anyways, everybody runs out into the courtyard. Everybody except the kids and, the baby. Everybody's out there, they're looking around. And there's a governor standing on top of a tank and 10 cars and people just loaded with guns. It's another part I thought kind of aggravated me was you had Rick, yelling across this fucking, it was at least 100 yards. And then you have the governor is just like, yeah, we're going to need you to come down here, Rick. And I'm like, how did he even hear him? I could barely hear people across my own house, let alone, 100 yards away. I thought that was kind of funny, but, so they have a little thing governor's come down here, Rick, we need to talk. And Rick's got this whole, I can't make decisions anymore. It's not my responsibility, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, you're making the decisions today, so come on down. So then he's like, hey, I've got Herschel and I got Michonne. this is what I want. I want this prison. Hey, what are you gonna do about it? We've got a tank. So that proceeds, and then Rick's like, not gonna happen, man. This is ours. I mean, you can live here with us if you want to, but you're not taking this from us. That's not gonna happen. And that's when shit hits the fan. What do you say?
Yep, old Herschel takes one right in the neck. Yeah, I thought that whole scene was interesting. Like you said, I think they did put a lot of emphasis on Rick not wanting to be the one to make the decision. Then he goes down there, he makes the call that he's not gonna, go along with the governor. He just tries to offer him, hey, you guys can all come in and live with us, but we're not leaving. Kind of like, and if you come in here, you're gonna have to destroy the jail to get it. So
Mm-hmm.
kind of, we both get to share it, or no one's gonna have it. And
Right.
but it is interesting though, because at first, finally Rick just has to make his own decisions again, and Herschel gets killed, a bunch of other people get killed, the jail gets destroyed. So it'd be interesting to see how he feels about,
I did.
that.
I liked how Herschel went out. Herschel, whenever he died, when Rick was making the decision, because they did it in like such a slow motion way where Rick was still talking. Rick's like, no, you're not doing this. Rick felt like he had authority back, like he was ready to be a leader again.
Hmm.
And previously in the past episodes, Herschel's like, you're good, you're better, you need to be leading this group. And I feel like that kind of like did a full circle. Now Rick is back in that authoritative position where he's making decisions.
Right.
Um, and whenever he saw that, he knew, like you could see it in Herschel's face, that his daughters and, maybe even his grandchildren would be in good hands with Rick. And he was okay to leave this world, just because, his family was in good hands. He wasn't leaving them with nothing. I thought that was a pretty cool moment. I think they did it on purpose with the way he died. But that's just my opinion. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, they're definitely. I mean, they could have even maybe spent a little more time. Like maybe Herschel could have got to say something real quick before it happened or something. But
Mm,
it is what it is. I think a lot of what was going on there too was kind of showing between the governor and Rick. And like,
mm,
for a second, I didn't believe for a second that he wasn't going to kill Herschel, but they kind of tried to make you think he
right.
wasn't, like that he was being convinced by Rick's little speech about we can live together, no one has to die type thing. And then you hear, the governor just whisper liar and
Yeah.
cut him. So I think, it was kind of like a three-way, like, you know, scene there between those three guys. But I think the biggest thing from that, I'm just kind of curious, like, what the show's gonna be like without Herschel. In season 2 or whatever, when we lost Glenn's buddy who drove the RV. I mean,
Mm,
it was hard to see at first, like who was gonna replace that kind of older, wiser person in the
right.
group type thing. And so once the season reconvenes, I'll be curious to see how it feels with Herschel being gone. So
Well, I mean, so now that we have Herschel gone, in the same situation Michonne was there. She was with Herschel. They were both captured. Michonne does this like super roll 3 times and gets away without anybody seeing her apparently. And she sneaks around the truck, and she finds a license plate that has a convenient hook on it, to where she can get rid of her cloth bearings. And all while doing this, she tackles a guy and apparently takes his gun.
right,
So she does some pretty much, some impossible
some
stuff, but
some
it's
ninja
pretty
shit.
awesome. Yeah, exactly. She's a ninja. So once all this is going down, you have your typical, we're gonna shoot people at point blank and not hit them at all, with Rick, pulling out his gun and apparently pots one in the, I don't even know if that was Rick who hit the governor in the shoulder, but, I mean, I'm assuming it was him.
Yeah, and it was kind of weird
Um,
view too. I mean, not to bash on it too much, but because it looked like the governor gets hit in the shoulder, Rick gets hit in the leg, but then later on, it seems to kind of ignore those injuries as they're having this knockdown, drag out fight. But
right. Well, I mean, Rick, you could kind of tell Rick, was limping a lot. Whenever Michonne finally comes back, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later, but
right,
they did an alright job with it. The thing I didn't like was, like, not even 10 minutes beforehand, Carl is like, I could end this all right now. Like,
hmm
I got great aim, I can take him out. And I don't think I saw anybody die from bullets except for, the little girl who shot the girl in the head.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
know.
there was it was that typical, like you said. I mean, there weren't that many. I mean, Daryl got a couple guys, but it was like just random nobodies and stuff. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So anyways, once all the whole shooting is going on, Rick, you said it, Rick jumps on top of the governor they start duking it out. And then eventually, the governor's actually winning this fist fight because Rick is the worst fist fighter of all time. Apparently doesn't throw his left jabs at all because, I mean, what is the governor going to see him coming? I mean, I'd just be
Yeah,
throwing
you gotta
left
work the
jabs
left.
all
You
day.
gotta work the left. Yeah, yeah. If I'm in his corner, that's yeah.
Right.
Heck yeah, work the left.
He's pretty much Rocky at this point, like, cut me, Mac. I can't see it on my left eye. Um, but anyways, so the governor's on top of Rick. They're rolling around, and he's got he's got his hands on his throat. Rick is on the verge of life and death because he's getting choked out, basically. And then all of a sudden, you see this samurai sword right through the chest, and you're just like, yes, finally we can get this chapter over with. That was the biggest thing. I didn't have a problem with the governor. I had a problem with what what his MO was. Like, his whole thing was to get this prison for some reason, and he just couldn't let it go.
Right.
So now we can actually turn this chapter over. It's a new villain's going to come out, hopefully, a new danger, yeah, quote unquote. Instead of the governor. I'm so tired of just hanging out with the governor on each episode. So they finally put an end to him. He doesn't die at that point because Michonne looks at him and she looks and she just walks away. I thought she was leading him for the zombies to eat. I thought the zombies were going to come over there and just eat him. But as we find out later, we haven't even talked about that. So the girl, did you catch her name? The little girl?
Megan, I think it was.
Yeah. So yeah, that's right. Megan's playing in the dirt, and she's making like a little mud sandwiches or whatever, mud pies, and she starts digging up into the dirt, and there's a zombie there. And of course her mom is like 100 yards away on top of a roof.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're watching a kid, 100 yards minimum distance, and apparently, preferably on a roof. So she starts screaming. Apparently, the mom super jumped off the roof and ran over there as fast as possible. At that point in time, like, you're taking a shot, right? I mean, if you're that far away, I'm probably taking a chance and taking a shot. Because what's the worst that could happen? You kill your own kid, maybe. I don't know. I'm gonna try to hit the zombie with a bullet. She had a pistol in her hand.
Right.
But that's just me. I don't know. I'm probably gonna take that shot. But anyway, she gets bit, and now we can only assume she's either dead or she's close to death, and that's all we see. The screen cuts off. And then a little bit later, while the gunfight's going, apparently she drove and found the governor, and like brings the governor the daughter. It puts the daughter into his hands, and
conveniently she gets back just as he's finishing. Herschel has kind of struggled with half of his neck cut open, dying, bleeding out,
right.
but he's kind of struggled away. The governor, in the midst of the gunfight, goes back to him and proceeds to just saw his head off, like, repeatedly. And here comes his girlfriend and Megan walking up just as he's finishing, like, completely removing Herschel's head from his shoulders. And we get to see a little out of focus shot of Herschel's body with his head laying off to the side, and then the governor looks up and there she is holding Megan, who's now deceased.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she hasn't turned yet, but we never will get to see her turn because the governor, without saying a word, pulls out his gun and domes her while she's in his arms.
Yeah, he basically goes over,
was ruthless.
grabs him in his arm. Yeah, it made no sense.
He's got the power hungry again. Like, he just doesn't care anymore, and it just shows. He puts a bullet in her head, and that's it. So now the girlfriend's like, whoa, this guy obviously is bad news. And now we fast forward to where the governor's laying in the field surrounded by zombies, has a hole in his chest from where the samurai sword was. I'm thinking the zombie's gonna come over there and eat him, but no. Lo and behold, it's the girlfriend with a gun, and ends his life. I wasn't happy about that. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was not a fan of how he went out, because I feel like they made a whole season of him terrorizing this camp. Like, I would have been way better if Glenn did it, because he beat the shit out of Glenn in season 3. So I was hoping like maybe Glenn would find his way out there and just do work to him. Even Michonne, because what he did in Michonne in the comic book was just by far way worse.
Right.
And the way he goes out in the comic book is way worse because Michonne gets revenge on him. But in this, it was like the girl who he just met literally 2 episodes ago gets to kill the governor. Eh, I'm not happy with that. I would have much rather Michonne cut his head off.
Right.
Because I mean that's that or she put like cuss on him and is like, "You're coming with me. I'm gonna let you bleed out. I'm gonna make sure you die, but you're gonna bleed out."
I'm gonna put a chain. I'm gonna chop your arms off, and put a chain around your neck, and lead you
Yeah,
around.
exactly, exactly. That's what I was hoping for, something like that.
Right.
Not the girl who just shows up. Meh.
Right.
I don't know. Did you think he went out the way you wanted to?
I kind of wanted to see him turn. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of the point of why Michonne did what she did. I think there's a leave
Hmm.
him there like that. They turned. So the fact that they later on cleared it up with, because no one cares about that side story of this little family that he's found. I mean, apparently they're all still alive other than the little girl that got bit, but
Hmm.
they're not really central to the story. Maybe they're going to be more on the show, but it just kind of was pointless. But I thought the only thing I liked from that scene, I don't know if you caught it, but as his girlfriend's walking away from him after she shoots him, you see zombies coming in the distance, and it's kind of focused in on the ground, but you just see him kind of walking, and you see her foot, and she steps on the chess piece that Megan had made for
Yeah. Yep.
with his little eye patch colored in with a Sharpie or whatever.
Yep.
And I thought that was just a nice little touch. But
Yep. Very nice. Yeah, finally, the king has been dethroned. The game's
yes,
over. I liked it. I like the comparison. So the governor's finally done. He is finally dead. I'm pretty sure she dumped him. I mean, she could have shoulder shot him, and like walked away, like whatever. But yeah, I think he's not going to be turning. He's not going to become a zombie.
no,
So that's the story is finally complete with him. I mean, I'm really happy that we're moving on. Now back to the Rick and those guys situation. So you have this big old fights going on. People are dying left and right, but nobody dies from the camp, which I thought was from Rick's camp. I think the only person who ended up dying from Rick's camp was literally Herschel, and that was it. A few people took a bullet. The alcoholic guy took a bullet in the shoulder, which wasn't that big of a deal. But here's the thing: is they're all split up now. Everybody's split up. You have the bus that went one way. You have Tyrese and the children went another way. You have um, the guy who took the bullet and the two girls go the other way. And then you have Rick and his son who
yeah.
end up going another way. So we're going to have 4 different groups at this point when
Well,
the
you
season
have you
comes
have
back.
Daryl and Beth. They went another way, and then
That's another
Michonne. We
one.
don't know where Michonne is either. Which I thought that was one thing. When my wife and I were watching it, we're like, Michonne was right with Rick. She saved Rick from the governor. She took like
Hmm.
one more step and looked back at the governor, and then she apparently did not follow Rick, who was hurt. So it was just kind of weird that they split them up. I thought
Hmm.
she would be them. So there's just people everywhere, and it's very reminiscent for me this episode to the season 2 finale where they leave the farm
Yeah.
and everything's
Yeah.
just chaos and everyone's going different directions. So it was very similar to that for me.
So we have that, and we have the missing link, which did not come up at all today. But she's not the only one who's by herself, is Carol. Now we have these 5 or 6 different groups, and we have Carol out there roaming.
Right.
Somebody's gonna run into somebody,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
And for example, they did not tell Tyrese what happened and Carol, so it seems like a perfect, since he's got those girls with him, he's probably going to run into Carol.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be really interesting since he doesn't know she was the one that killed those 2 people. So that's where I would think it would be going.
That's now that you said that, that makes perfect sense. So now we have all these groups going. It makes it to where I did like how they kind of scared everybody with the oh, Daryl might die from a zombie. I think that might be the worst way for Daryl to go out at this point.
Yeah,
like Daryl has to go out, like Rick has to kill Daryl for it to even mean anything, and it's got to be for like a good reason.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Which I don't think it will happen. Like he can't.
Or like it'd be like one of those situations where they're all about to die and there's 10,000 zombies, and somehow Daryl just he pushes them through the door and they're saved, and he stays out, and you just hear gunshots, and he killed at least 1,000 before he died type of situation.
Either one of those, or like one of the moments where like you hear these gunshots and the screen cuts off as if you don't know he died or if he died, and that's like the series finale. The series finale is literally Daryl in a room by himself and
Surrounded by
zombies.
zombies. Yeah, on all
Yeah,
sides. I agree.
it is, dude. That would be perfect. But great episode. I love the episode. I
Yep.
honestly can't wait for February now. I want to see what happens. I want to see how they all get back together.
Yeah.
Carol's still out there. The groups are all separated. No more governor. And on top of that,
yeah.
what's up?
No more prison.
Yeah, no more prison. Yeah, it was starting to become the farm. Like,
big time.
the farm was like, please get the hell off this farm. It's so boring. But man, it's gonna be a great. I think the second half of the season is gonna be awesome. I don't know how they're gonna be at the top of this. The season finale is gonna be insane. But until then, guys, thank you for listening. This has been What Did We Just Watch, and we will catch you next time.
Later.